Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Minecraft. I think in this episode, I want to focus on getting the villagers down in the breeder and up into their respective places in a project that I am calling my villager distribution system, also known as the Capitalism Contraption, because much like in real life, once you are born into the system, the only escape is the sweet release of death. Anyway, there's a couple components to this, and the first and maybe most complicated is going to be the elevator to actually get them where they need to go. Then we also need to set up the rail network and the training station and all that. So one idea I had to get the villagers up is a water elevator like this. It comes up and then we just put a carpet there. The problem that I think we're going to run into is that villagers are idiots. What I've noticed is that they will sometimes go on that and just get stuck there. We'll put a couple down and you'll probably see what I'm talking about. Of course, now they don't want to do it. All right, let's see if I can force one of them over onto that. No? Maybe it was only a problem because there was just the one of you. Okay, this might be fine after all. When I just had one of them there, he really just kept going on here and spinning and seeming to get stuck. Maybe he was just having a good time, but now that he's got buddies to talk to, they don't seem to want to get stuck on there. But at the end of the day... Oh! I'm sorry, can I not go through that? Okay, never mind. That doesn't work. The wiring here is very inelegant. I haven't quite figured out how to make it tidier yet, but with this being the only visible redstone block on the surface, which could be covered by a carpet, you can do this. We now have a fully functional bubble column all the way from the bottom. And it also gets the water out of the way before the pistons extend again. It took me quite a while to figure this out. I'm not the best at redstone, but the basic idea that I came up with here is this essentially works as a detector of whether or not the door is open. Basically, it just triggers every other time. So this is on when it's closed, off when it's open. There's probably a better way to do that, but you can't send a redstone signal through the block that would be here, which would be the simplest way, but if you try to do that, it will activate the piston down there, so that doesn't work. You can't grab a redstone signal off of the pistons, so this signal that is going into them, I can't pull it through the piston to see what's going on over there. So this is the only way that I could think of to do it, but the general idea is that when this is on, which means this is closed, we want the dispensers to trigger later. So they should wait for that. And that is handled by the simple fact that this will turn off. So this redstone line will go off, but we'll still have a redstone signal from this until this door retracts. Or that piston retracts. And this has to be like this, so that the signal strength going to here is the same. Otherwise, this observer triggers twice. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of dust before that, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of dust before that. So you'll see what I'm talking about. This line is now off. And then that line turns off afterwards, which enables this to fire second. But if I turn this on, this line will go on immediately, before anything happens with this because we have a delay on this repeater. This is now fully delayed instead of the single tick that it was delayed before. So that goes on, then which retracts the water, then this repeater allows these to extend, which then goes up. But yeah, basically the idea is just we need to be able to detect whether the door is open or closed. If it is currently closed, then we need the dispensers to wait until it is open before firing. If it is currently open, we need the dispensers to fire immediately before it closes. So it has different timing each way. That's why this is complicated. If we do some kind of carpet pattern around it like this, no one will be the wiser. So we just need to build the activation system down here and the way to eject villagers into it so that we can send them up from the bottom. And then that's the entire system complete. That's the basic thing that we will need for actually making the configurable destination villager distribution system, so to speak. Okay, so this is now the completed contraption. This is a setup to open and close the door up there. You need this scaffolding so that this can attach to it. But when I flick this lever, you'll see that this state changes here. And now the door is open. Flick it again. The state changes. There's an observer up there, and I did end up having to go back to the copper bulb to make that work. So that's the setup up there. We can look at it when we get up there. I'm gonna open it back up. Down here, we have rails. This is an activator rail that is powered. When anything goes over that in a minecart, it will eject them from the minecart. The glass blocks are just because villagers will not suffocate inside of them. Oh my God, seriously, sir? Anyway, now he gets ejected into there and is shot up to the top. We have over here a cactus. The tricky thing that I was not understanding about cactus before is that you can't have blocks around it. Whatever, but this breaks that, and then the hopper picks it up. You can see all of our test mine carts have been picked up. We can send this back off to the main distribution center instead, so it can just be a big loop. And then all the way up top here, the villager gets out, so then we can close it again. Sometimes they get stuck on the bubble columns, but the piston comes over and pushes them up anyway, so it's fine. So this is the new, more compact circuit. It's basically what we had to begin with. Okay, bye. So we do have the comparator running into this. I used the repeater coming off of that. We have just enough time for that to work. So that also lets me shorten this up just a little bit. And it will pick up that water at like the last possible second. Now we just close this. It's gonna turn that bulb on again in this case. Closes up the door, and there's our water buckets. So this is now the completed prototype. It's not too bad in terms of compactness, but that's the completed prototype for an automated villager picker-upper, dropper-offer elevator system. There he goes. The only thing up here that is visible from up top is this dispenser, and I checked that does need to be there or they won't go all the way up. So we can cover that either with glass, or if we're making a building, that could just be under the wall. They can just come up right next to the wall. So we have options for covering that up. It's the best I could do. It's not perfect, but it's nearly invisible. So yeah, I'm very excited that this works now. I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to figure this out, but we have this whole system, and because this is just scaffolding, this is infinitely expandable up or down depending on how far they need to go. Same thing with the bubble columns, so we're no longer restricted by the ability of the wind charges to shoot us up. So yeah, that's a pretty cool system. Now that we have the design all figured out, I think we might as well put one in and just see how it works. So here, I think we would run into the issue of, why is this here? We can't really put it here, right? The dispenser has to be here, and we can't really cover it there. But we could put it on one of the sides or around the back. So let's just go in and have a look. So they could pop up here, for example. This side probably works a little bit better just because of that. So maybe what we'll do is have them pop up here, and then they can just go out into the world and do whatever they want. The back is covered with bookshelves, so I don't think that's gonna work. And then I also need to jump down there and just see what the Y value is for that, so that I can just dig down until we hit that Y value. Now I know I'm asking a lot of you, but don't be dumb. Please don't go down there. I think these are also, yeah, these are all slabs, so we are also going to need to replace that. All right, so here we are all the way down at the bottom. Let's just have a little look-see with the cheaty cam. Try and figure out where we are and where we need to go. Oh, good. There's all these water tunnels here. That's great. So this is where we need to get to. And we need to... Hello? Boy, free cam is really just kind of all over the place these days. That's the breeder. There's me. So we need to, wow, that's a lot of creepers over there. This one actually loops back around the other way. So maybe what we do is we have this come out to over here, and then, oh my God, then it can shoot different ways. But we're also gonna have to deal with all this water. So why don't I go this way, and we'll try to avoid as much of it as we can. All right, we have worked our way back through. So this is where this rail comes out, and then it goes out, back, around, over, and all the way up. So I'm gonna need to grab a bunch of rails. I'm gonna stick some powered rails here, and then a lever that we can use to just turn them on and off. That should stop them here. Then we can put some other kind of lighting in here probably, but then we can train them, whatever profession we want, and then send them off. And then obviously eventually we'll have different rails that go different directions, but for now we really only need the one. Just to test this out, I am finding a bit of a problem. I don't have a way to open that door from down here. So I have to go back through and out this way. Oops. So just while I'm putting this together, something that I was thinking of, these dispensers, you want to wait until, well, you want to wait until the end to put the water buckets in them so you don't ruin everything else. But you also are going to want to wait and make sure that this is closed before you put anything in there. Otherwise, it's going to be operating on the wrong cycle. So you want to make sure that basically when this closes, that's taking the water out. And since you're putting water buckets in there, they're going to be full. So you want to make sure this is closed. Then when you open that, it will fire these, fill in the water, so on and so forth. You also want to make sure that this and this are synchronized. So right now, both of them are off. If I hit this, both of them will be on, so on and so forth. And that is just to make sure that nothing gets messed up here. This observer's facing the wrong direction. Oops. We need it to be pointing into that. There we go. I suppose alternatively, instead of putting the filled water bucket in there, you can also put the water in here and then just put an empty bucket in there. That works fine as well, I imagine. But let's go ahead and put this back just in case. We'll head back down and give this a test. So you can see we have this. This will stop them. We can put down the lectern or whatever and get them going. Then we come around here, and I still need to figure out a way to wire this back into some kind of switchboard. I think the ideal thing would be to have somewhere over there a thing that just says, hey, if you want them to go to the library, press this button, and then it will come over here and activate this. But for now, this should close that. So let's just head up with free cam instead of flying up and down. You can see the light is on. That's closed. Everything looks good. And now, flick it again. All right, I think we are good to go. So let me go ahead and close that off. I'm gonna take the long way back up. We can get rid of those fences and close everything back up. I also need to remember to grab blocks for that, because that's ugly. We can't have ugly. The other thing, so like, you know, maybe over here, the switchboard, or up here would probably be the better spot. And then I need to figure out the minecart situation. Maybe they go up, over, break on a cactus, and then work their way back down here automatically. That, I think, would be cool to have, rather than having to manually break them or reconfigure them, whatever. You don't really configure minecarts. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So there we go. That's closed off. Inside, there's nothing. And then outside, all we have to do is throw down some dirt and some grass. See? Completely invisible and still fully functional. Just to complete the loop, I did actually find a way to make this more compact. I just have a button here so we can test this. But instead of having it go all the way around, we just moved this observer here and then stuck the comparator off of the side. And now that happens to be conveniently 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So it's still, the signal strength idea is still there. It still works. We just don't have to go all the way out here. It's practically self-contained within this footprint, which I think is great. I'm not sure how much better this system could get. Maybe there's a better way to do the door detection thing and not have all this extra bulbs and whatnot, but it works. I'm not gonna bother updating the one that I just made because it already works and I don't care. But you can get away with a little bit less redstone dust, which means a little bit less lag probably. And it just fits in a smaller footprint now, which is great. I'm just gonna keep pressing this button a bunch because I'm just really happy that I made a thing and that thing works. I've been working out the switch panel for the villager distribution network system thing, and I thought I would walk you through a little bit of my design process here. So the idea here is that I wanted to have 5, possibly more, sort of side by side like this, where I can switch one on and it will activate that elevator for the villagers wherever it may be. Now the problem with doing side by side redstone is that if you put redstone dust here and then you put redstone dust here, it connects. That's a problem. Now you could put repeaters in here, but if you put repeaters in there, now there's delay because each one of these adds a single tick of delay. So we don't like that. My first thought to get around that was powered rails, because powered rails don't connect once you have them set up like this. You can put as many as you want next to each other, and each one of them can turn on and off independently. But the problem with powered rails is they don't actually transmit that redstone power to any of the adjacent blocks. So for example, if I were to stick a piston down here, that's not gonna fire. So you need some way to get the signal off of the powered rails. Enter this contraption. So you can use observers. The problem with an observer is that it's a momentary pulse. So if I click this on, it just pulses. In this case, that does a 0 tick pulse, which leaves this there, and now we can send the signal off wherever we want to go. So we can do some kind of complicated business like this, or we could put a copper bulb there instead. Obviously right now they're on opposite cycles, which is bad or good, depending on what we want. But we could do something like that with a comparator coming off the back of it. You get the idea. So there's different ways to trigger this. This gets expensive. Copper bulbs are expensive. Observers are expensive. So this method is not only sort of big, but it also gets expensive. So another idea would be, what if we use redstone lamps? And you can do that instead of buttons. I like the look of buttons. And then you can do something like this, where that pushes out and now it powers this. Maybe you send this signal off this way. Maybe that signal comes here. Then what do you do with this middle signal? Maybe this one comes here. This one goes off that way. So on and so forth. It's got its own series of challenges. So ultimately, what I decided on is this contraption. And the way this works, if you alternate this sort of up and down arrangement, you can just use redstone dust to send the signal down like this. And then you can use a repeater here to send it up through that block and onto that top layer. And now these don't connect, they're tileable, so you can make this as wide as you want. If I ever add more destinations, that's all taken care of here. We just alternate back and forth like this. It's still expensive in terms of the copper bulbs, but you know, now that trial chambers exist, I could honestly just steal them from there. The same concept would work with redstone lamps if you wanted to, or with no light sources whatsoever. But with this way, you can put signs above these that say what each one is, and then when you press the button, you know that that one is active. The one thing the system does not do is check if one of the other ones is on and then turn off that one before turning on the one that you just pressed. So like if that's on and I press this one, it's not going to turn that one off. I'm okay with that. For my system, I don't think that's necessary. It's fine. So this here is the finished room. You can see here what I'm talking about. So each one of these can be labeled. I need to make some more signs, obviously. But if I turn this library circuit on back here, it kicks that on, and then it sends this signal all the way back around the corner. And you may be wondering why this is off. That is on purpose, because I needed to invert the signal so that when this is off, this is up. And then when I kick it on, it will go back down. But up top now, this door, oh God, free cam, please. This is now open. And we triggered that from all the way back around the corner. So we can head back out that way, hit the button again, and this will turn on, flicking the trapdoor and closing that up. The other thing that I would like to do is make it so that rail can come over here and automatically break and go back into the system. One of the issues that I've run into with this is that it can bud power things because of that redstone block. I think that's something that I can fix by simply moving these hoppers back here. If we're going to have an automated minecart return system, then I don't really need this barrel at all. So we can take care of that way. Let me go close this up, and then I think the next step is going to be to actually train the villager and test the entire system out, send them up, and see what happens. All right, he's finally given us something good. Protection 4 for 26 emeralds. I'll take it. You may notice here that I have dirt set up everywhere around here. I don't know what it is about villagers. Maybe somebody in the comments knows better than I do, but I feel like they just don't like to do anything with the lectern until you seal them off from the outside world. So I might just stick a lever there and some pistons that push these blocks out for the future. In the meantime, if we flip this on and give it a few seconds, that will open up the doorway. So now we flick this and send him on his way. We'll go chase him around and just make sure that he went up, and the minecart should just be kind of off to the left here because I haven't bothered to set up the return yet. Okay, good news. There's a minecart and there's no villager, which means the villager should be where we want. Now we can close it back up and then head up top and put down the lectern for this guy to link up to. We can close this off because we're pretty much done there for now. There's not really anything else that we need to do. So let's double check. We have our new Protection 4 guy up here. 3 villagers. And another lectern. We will stick into this bookshelf our 1 Protection 4 book. And in the morning when this guy thinks about his life, he can come down here and connect to that lectern. And hey, that's pretty good. So I know this has been a very design and build heavy episode, but I do hope you enjoyed. Apologies that some of that looks kind of out of order. I know that the switchboard was completed and then it was not completed. Yeah, I recorded some of this on a live stream and I hit the wrong record button, so it was recording with my face and all that, and it was kind of weird. Didn't work out well, so I had to re-record. Anyway, I do hope that you enjoyed. Make sure you hit the like button if you did. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!